This episode is for my business girlies, okay? This is for anyone who wants to be a entrepreneur, anyone who wants to start a business, anyone who owns a business, anyone who is interested in that entire thing. And honestly, if you work for a business, this is probably going to help you out too, okay? We're talking all things about just what it means to start a business, practical tips for that. We also get a little bit into some good book reads that we're both loving right now with Madelyn. Madelyn is a marketing guru when it comes to small businesses specifically, so it is super, super fun talking with her. She also talks about what it means to have a job that relies heavily on creativity and creativity ruts, all of that good stuff, and then also what it means to be a Christian in the workplace, because we all know that that is a massive, massive part of life. So anyways, what more can I say except get excited, because this is a good episode. Okay, Madelyn, so I know you know the deal here, but we're gonna talk about what you're drinking this morning. What do you got in your cup?
So I actually just finished a latte with honey and cinnamon. My sister, I live with her, and she has an espresso, so it's super good. It's my favorite part about my morning.
I love that so much. Do you live with your sister?
I do, yeah.
That is so fun. Oh my gosh. I always told my brother if we hadn't gotten married when we did, we're both married now, but I was like, if we would totally like live together, because it's just the best, like siblings, best friends, the whole situation.
It is. I love it. I mean, she's the best, so it's fun to come home and have your best friend at home. So
yeah. Oh, that is so fun. Okay, well, I want to jump in straight to our conversation. So you do a lot with marketing, a lot of entrepreneur stuff, which is just always so fascinating to me. So I want to jump into the deep end here with you, and I would love to know, as a Christian woman in this world, what are some challenges that you have faced specifically in like the business side of things?
Yeah, so I think the biggest challenges came, for me at least, in the beginning stages of my business. It was so scary to leave my office job and to just kind of jump in, head first. There were a lot of unknowns and just, feelings of inadequacy, and I had to trust God like never before. I mean, I depended on Him every single day, prayed for His provision and prayed for His guidance. In the business world, there's a lot that you have to learn about, things such as like accounting and QuickBooks and getting different licenses. So that was really stressful, especially in the beginning. Now that that's kind of, that's taken care of, so I don't have to worry about that quite as much anymore. But in the beginning, it was just a constant surrender, and I love to have a plan. So I had a plan for, how things were going to be, but, things don't always work out exactly how you picture them. So I tell people a lot of times business can feel like pushing a boulder up a hill. In the beginning, at least, it's not easy. So I think my biggest challenges have just come from that, and just relying on God, completely entrusting in His promise that He will provide.
Yeah. So a couple like tangible things that I would love to know. So how did you figure out all the licensing things? Like, were you Googling? Were you YouTubing? Like, where were some resources that like helped you kind of figure that out?
Yeah, so Google was a big one. And then I just asked a lot of people that I looked up to in the business world. I think like one of the biggest, or one of the best things that I did was finding people that I trusted and admired, and people who had kind of a similar path to mine. And I just asked them so many questions. I mean, I just, bless their hearts, I asked them a lot of questions. And I was really fortunate because my uncle is an accountant, so he was able to help me with a lot of the accounting side of things, and then also working with me to, get the paperwork in order for the licenses.
Yeah, for sure. So, okay, did you have fear going into any of those conversations, talking to people about things like that, asking questions? Because I feel like that for me personally is always a fear of like, oh, they're going to be annoyed by me, or I'm putting them out so much. So how did you go about that? Was that something you thought about, or were you just like head like straight in, we're just going to do this, ask questions?
I think there definitely was a little bit of fear. I do not like to bother people at all. And so kind of what you were saying, with all the questions, there was always, oh, I hope that they're not super frustrated with me. But they were so gracious, and I think that I just wanted to run my business so badly that I just didn't let anything get in my way, not my fears, not the stresses. I mean, they were still there, of course, but it was just pushing past that. And, you know, thank goodness that all the people that I bothered with my questions were so gracious and so understanding and kind.
Yeah, I think that's a really good lesson, because I know, like me personally, when people reach out and I don't feel qualified to answer any questions ever, and they'll ask me questions, I'm like, oh, wow, yeah, like I'm so honored that you're coming to me. And I think that sometimes we put people on pedestals and we think that they are going to assume that we're so much less than them, or that they are wasting their time with us or whatever. But truthfully, like there is a time where people just want to share wisdom. They want to be able to just reach out and connect with like either the next generation or the next big idea or whatever that looks like. And asking questions is honestly a form of like honoring them. I really do feel that way. So, yeah. And like, don't be like annoying about it. You know what I'm saying? But like be respectful. But I do think that there is a place for asking questions. And I think it says a lot about you and the way that you chose to start your business as trying to approach it from like such a wise way, and look at people around you who, you know what they're talking about and trying to learn from them. So that's really cool. I love that so much. So could you tell us a little bit more about your business? Like, what is it? What are you doing? How did you get into it? All the things.
Yeah, so I had never planned to start my own business, but looking back now, a lot of the signs were there, like this entrepreneurial mindset. My dad, he had his own business when I was growing up, so I was around that, and I saw, you know, that it was really challenging, but he also had a ton of freedom, and he was able to be at home with his family more. And, you know, a lot of the pressure was on him, but there were so many things that we could do as a family that we couldn't have done if he had had like an office job. So that definitely, I think, influenced me. And also, I think I've always just kind of had that sort of mindset too, because when I was growing up, I look back now and I had so many business ideas. I mean, just for the funniest things. And so I was always coming up with stuff. And in high school, I started, I did social media management on the side, but, you know, I thought, oh, this will never be, you know, a business. Didn't even cross my mind that this, you know, would be something that I could do to make money in the future. And so I went into college and found myself still doing social media management on the side, and it just kind of evolved and got bigger and bigger. And then when I graduated college, I was like, well, maybe this is something that I should at least think about. Maybe this is something that, you know, I should pursue. And so I took a couple of part-time jobs, and one of them was actually a bookseller at a bookstore in our small town. And so one day I just remember praying to God, and I said, okay, God, if you want me to continue to do this business, if you want me to work for myself, show me, like provide for me. And so I was sitting behind the counter one day, and the door opens, and one of our customers comes in, and she said, I love your social media. And I was helping with the social media a lot of that time. But she said, I love your social media. I need help with my business. Who can I hire to do it? I was like, okay, God, thanks so much. And so it evolved from there. And then, so I did social media management for a while. And then a lot of the small businesses that I worked with actually were asking me more general marketing questions. So I thought, well, maybe this is something that I should get into. Maybe I should be a marketing strategist. So I grew my business, and now I'm like exclusively a marketing strategist, though I still do a little bit of social media, and of course it's incorporated into that. But so I just help small businesses create a marketing strategy to attract more customers and increase their profits. So it's really fun. I love it. I mean, it has its challenges some days, but it's everything that, you know, I dreamed of.
Yeah, and that is so cool. I think something that I just love hearing is the open-handed way that you approach this, especially for probably anyone listening to this podcast. We probably struggle with that a little bit, of just wanting a plan, wanting to know everything that's going to happen and just be the best at it. And so seeing the way that you were like, okay, you know, I love a good plan, but at the same time, I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll do social media. Okay, God, what should I keep doing it? And then to move into like, oh, wow, wait, people want marketing strategy from me. Okay, let me move into that now. So the way that you just had such an open hand with your business of allowing it to grow and evolve into what God needed it to be. And I'm sure it's going to continue to do that, you know, even further into the future of just cultivating the people around you and ultimately itself. So that's just so cool to hear. And I absolutely love, love, love that take on everything and the way that you've just always relied on God from the very beginning of this to help lead and direct that. I think another thing that we often do is when we pray about things, we'll be praying for like, oh, you know, Lord, help this situation or this situation. But those situations with our businesses as business owners, it's sometimes hard to invite God into that because we don't see a place for him. It feels too strategic. Like this is more tangible things that need to happen. I need to just like grind it out and get all these projects done. And so we forget to invite God into those moments where we start to lean onto our own strength. And seeing that you have done that so consistently, has that been something that has been intentional on your part, or is that just naturally something that you've kind of been doing?
I think it's definitely intentional, but also at the same time, there have been things, you know, in my life that I've tried to pursue, like myself, even career-wise, and it just did not work out. And so I think I just learned, okay, if this is not something that, you know, God wants, then I just want the door to be slammed shut. I don't want it. I don't want to I guess waste my time and, you know, do something that's not like good and pleasing to him. So I definitely think there is some natural tendencies, but it's all about being intentional.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Okay, so I am all about like very tangible tips. I love something that people can really take away from. So I would love to know like maybe 3 tangible tips for you from someone who, you know, let's say that they are either wanting to become an entrepreneur or in the beginning phases, like just things that you feel that they could benefit from knowing.
Yeah, for sure. So the first tip that I have kind of goes back to what we talked about earlier. It is just finding mentors and people that you can lean on and look up to. I really think it's so important that I just want to like touch on it again. Making a list of questions. So in the beginning, I had just, like I said earlier, so many questions, and I wrote those down. And you know, I didn't want to waste people's time, so I just, you know, we got right into the questions, and you know, I would take them out to coffee and just, you know, spend some time picking their brain. And I think community is so important when you're an entrepreneur because it can feel isolating sometimes, again, especially in the beginning. And so just surrounding yourself with people and just getting encouragement from them and seeing how they have done, you know, they have a business too, and they have walked the same path that you have walked, and they have faced a lot of the same struggles that you've gone through or are going through. So I definitely think, you know, surrounding yourself with mentors and other entrepreneurs is really important. And then another tip that I have is just to get organized as much as possible. So in the beginning, I kind of wrote out a rough plan, and I know, you know, we can make plans and then things change, but I do think it is good to have as much of a plan as possible. So what I like to do is I write quarterly goals, and then, you know, this could be something like, you know, leaving your office job, getting 3 new clients, making, you know, X amount of money, and then breaking it down into little steps, and then going even farther and breaking it down into, you know, even tinier steps. So I did this all the time in college, like when writing my big graduate thesis. So I think that like just kind of naturally comes to me a little bit. But, you know, an example of these steps would be if your goal is leaving your job, write down the date that you want to leave in your calendar, save up, you know, however amount of money that you need in your savings, make a marketing strategy to get new clients. And then you break those into tinier steps, like what you would do in a week or in a day. If your goal is to get 3 new clients, maybe those smaller goals, smaller steps are creating an email list, creating a referral program, networking, you know, just having steps that you can take to get to your goal and just laying those out. I think that is really helpful, just to do in the beginning, but also continue doing. And then I think another tip that I have is just to be so determined. And this one, you know, it sounds a little basic, but honestly, there are going to be a lot of challenges when you're an entrepreneur. But if you just picture that goal every day, and I have it written down on my desk, like I have, you know, what my big time goal is, what my quarterly goal is, and I look at it every single day, because again, there are a lot of things that happen when you're an entrepreneur. It's kind of a roller coaster at times. And so just staying determined and, you know, believing that God will provide, that he will, you know, show you the path to take, and not letting yourself feel discouraged. I mean, of course you want to take, you know, some time if something didn't, you know, work out, or if you lost a client, like it's okay to take a little bit of time, but then it's just getting right back up and saying, okay, no, this is, you know, what I want to do. This is my goal, and I just have to keep moving forward. So those are my 3 tangible tips.
I love all of those so much. I would love to know, especially with the Get Organized one, that is near and dear to my heart. I love getting organized. What are some tools that you use? Are you pen to paper, or do you have some online things? What does that look like for you?
Yeah, I love this question because productivity and organization is my favorite thing. I'm kind of a mixture of both. I like my phone calendar, so I put a lot of you know, events and meetings in my phone calendar, but then I also have a paper planner, and I'll actually, like on Sundays, I will plan my week out, and I'll put everything from my phone calendar into my paper planner, and that just helps me, you know, feel organized with my life. But I use the Full Focus Planner, and I love this planner because it has quarterly goals, it has like your weekly big 3 goals, has daily tasks, a habit tracker, which I am all about. I literally do not leave home without it, and it has my whole life in it, really. But and then I use Notion also. It's my favorite. And I do this to organize my social media posts, and then I help my clients also. I teach them kind of how to use Notion, and there's a lot of things that you can do in this program, and it's a little bit of a learning curve, but honestly, I think it's so worth it. Besides having, you know, a social media content calendar, we have, you know, brand colors and, you know, brand pillars, notes from meetings, things like that. And then I think another tool that I use a lot to get organized is just my phone reminders, which again, it's just so simple, but I love, you know, setting things, you know, to remind me throughout the day. Like, and I'm one of those people that gets really, really in the zone. And so I kind of just block out everything. And so having a phone reminder to just pop up and say, hey, you need to do such and such, whether it's business or personal, I think that is so helpful, at least for me.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I literally love all of that. I do have a question about Notion, though. This is so personal to me, but I opened it once, got so overwhelmed, never opened it again, because it's a lot initially. So how did you learn that? I know you said you teach some of your clients that. So like, how did you learn it, or did you just play around with it? What did that look like for you?
For me, that was watching hours and hours of YouTube videos. It is definitely, I think, a learning curve for sure, because it is, like you said, it's so overwhelming, and there are so many different things that you can customize in it, which is good, but when you're first learning it, it's so overwhelming and a little bit stressful, honestly. So yeah, I just watched a ton of YouTube videos, and then I kind of, over the years, I've just kind of evolved it to how I like it. So I do things a little bit differently than some people. Like, there are tons of content calendars out there, but mine is more tailored to my needs, or my clients' needs. So yeah, it's definitely a lot of trial and error when you're first learning it. So I totally understand and see where you're coming from.
So, but you would say it's worth it though? Like okay, so it's like worth the dedication to like learn it and do it.
Yes, absolutely. If you can just get over the little hill.
Yes, I love it. Okay, that's super good to know. Well, there's a lot of creativity in what you do. It sounds like a lot of constant, just needing to come up with fun ideas or maybe hone ideas to be specific for certain companies, all of that. So what does it look like? I'm always so curious for other people, because when creativity is a large portion of your career, a creative rut is scary. And they're always happening. They're very real. Like, to say you're always constantly at the top of your A game creatively is just not true ever. So what do you do when you're in creative rut? How do you kind of combat that professionally, but then also like just emotionally?
Mm-hmm. That's a great question. For me, it's usually, it looks like me stepping away for a little bit and not forcing that creativity. And I know a lot of people have different opinions on this. So I was an English major in college, and my professors, we wrote a ton of papers, and my professors always told us, you know, you can't wait for inspiration to strike suddenly, and that's when you should write your paper or your book. Like, you have to get in front of the computer, and you just have to, you know, type and delete and write a sentence, delete it, edit it. And I think that is true to an extent. You know, the words will come or the creativity will come. And I think, yeah, again, it's true to an extent, but also I know myself, and when I'm exhausted, I can't force that creativity, and I just need a break sometimes. And so I'm an Enneagram 1, and it's really, really hard for me to put a project down and take a minute to regroup. But that's what just has to happen sometimes. And if it doesn't, you know, I kind of spiral. I feel, you know, inadequate, and just, okay, why can't I, you know, finish this project? Or why, you know, is this happening right now? And so I think just taking myself out of that environment, for me at least, helps tremendously. You know, some things that I like to do is read a fiction book, work out, see my friends, or just go outside, honestly. It just gets me out of my own head and puts my focus on something else. And what's kind of interesting to me is my subconscious, like, it's still working a lot of times. So even when I'm not in front of my laptop or not meeting with clients, you know, my wheels are still spinning. And so I'm usually able to come back refreshed and with ideas. And something that I've started doing lately, I'd say within the past 6 months, is just pouring into myself, like, through books. And so honestly, like, this has been super helpful to me, because I'll read like a business book in the morning for a little bit, and then just a fiction book at night. And I don't know, it just helps me to learn and feel excited about new things, and it just kind of fills me up. So, you know, all day I'm with clients, and I'm just, you know, pouring into them, but like, I have to have something, you know, for myself to pour into myself. And I think a lot of times for me that comes through, you know, books, podcasts, things like that.
I love that. I'm a huge book girl. So I have to ask, what are some of the recent reads, both professionally and fictionally?
Oh yes, I could talk books all day. So for fun, I've been reading Emily Henry's books. She just came out with a new one. She's my girl.
It just came due on the library this morning, and I was like, get right now. Like, I'm so excited.
Good.
It's called
so
Book.
Good.
Wait, Funny Story? Is that it?
Funny Story, yeah.
So excited.
I think that one is my second favorite book that she's written. Beach Read will forever be my favorite. It's so good. So yeah, that's a book that I've just been loving for fun. And also I've kind of gotten into John Grisham lately. Wasn't expecting to like his stuff, but it's actually really good.
Love it.
So if you need, you know, a suspense, read The Client by him. It's super interesting.
Perfect.
And then professionally, I've been reading Donald Miller a lot. I absolutely love his books. I think every business owner should read at least one of his books. I love Story Brand by him, Building a Story Brand. It is so good. And it just talks about, you know, there's a lot of marketing tied into it, but it's inviting your customers to be in a bigger story and making them the hero, whereas, you know, your business is the guide and you want to lead them to their goals or their desires. So that's a book that I've been loving lately.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like another book I'm going to put you on real fast is Unreasonable Hospitality. It is amazing. So it's about the restaurant industry, but it talks about how you just take things that are so minor and the way that you can just love on clients or customers or whatever, and just go above expectations with the tiniest little things and that effect on them. So good. So good. 10 out of 10 recommend. So anyways.
Okay, I'm so checking that out.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Okay, perfect. Well, I would love if you could just kind of hype yourself up for a minute. Where can people find you and what can you offer? All of the resources, do all the things. Just hype yourself up.
So I'm on Instagram. My username is Madelyn Victoria Co. I'd love, if your listeners wanted to follow me, that'd be great. I share behind the scenes of all things entrepreneurship, and I also have a lot of book recommendations on there too for all my readers. And then if your listeners have a small business or they know of someone who does, even in their community and they want to grow it, there are 2 ways that I can help. The first is you can download my free guide, which shares 3 ways that your business can attract local customers literally right now. Just DM me the words Master Your Marketing and I'll send it to you. It's totally free. And then the second way I can help is if you want extra support, I offer one-on-one strategic marketing coaching. So this has been a game changer for my clients who are small business owners because a lot of times they feel stuck or trapped in their business and they're not really sure, how to move forward. So I help get them unstuck and help them create and execute a marketing strategy that actually works for them.
That is amazing, and that will be linked in the show notes as well. So anyways, Madelyn, thank you so much for coming on the podcast and giving us some of your amazing wisdom. It has been such a joy and delight to talk with you.
Thank you so much, Belle. I really enjoyed it.